So in the previous class, what we have covered is like certain questions we covered. I think I started this topic. I think question number 3 versus question number 6, which comparison, like two concepts I have started to compare. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What is that we have started is the topic that we have started for comparing is like, yeah, what are the factors that decides or that determine extent of test checking in a sampling plan. Extent of test checking in a sampling plan. What are the factors that will help? Yes or no? And
Yes, sir.
another one that we understood, extent of checking in sampling. Another one is what are the factors that determines the sample size. I told you in a particular client, what are all the areas where I can apply sample or not? That is question number 3, concept number 3. And you decided sampling. You decided, yes, other than sample, it is not possible because of large voluminous of data, repetitive data. Only sampling is possibility. Other possibilities are not there. Now, what should be my sample size? Are you getting it? What should be my sample size? That is concept number 6 or question number 6. So that is what we are going to discuss. Now tell me, Supriya, like whether to go for sampling or not. How will you decide? It's generally a matter of professional judgment, right?
Yes, sir.
Whether to go for sampling or not, generally it's a matter of professional judgment. But if at all someone asks you, what are the points that you will consider? What is your thought process? What you will think, whether to go for sampling or not, in order to decide that what you will think about. What we think about nature and size of the business, correct?
Yes, sir.
Nature
Sir,
and
generally we go to sampling only, sir. Whether to go or not, the question don't arise, no, sir.
Generally that question don't arise. But if at all in a concern, it's a private company, small company. Now they're having not too heavy transactions, but at the same time not too less also. In this case, you'll get this question: okay, should I verify 100% or should I verify sample? The dilemma can come. Some very rarely it will come. What you said is correct. The question that you are asking is absolutely correct. Generally, by default, we go for sampling. Why we go for by default sampling? Because everybody do the same. Audit itself means we understood that it is sampling. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So by default, generally we go for sampling. But why we are choosing sampling? Why we have to choose sampling? There are some factors that will prompt you. So what are the factors? Nature and size of the business. Another one, level of effectiveness of internal control system. Level of effectiveness of internal control system. Let us see there itself directly. Level of effectiveness of internal control system. Getting it? And reliability of books of accounts and records. See, generally tell me, if the organization size is increasing, obviously we go for sampling. If the controls are very effective, then also we go for sampling. If the books of accounts are adequately maintained, reliably maintained, then also we go for sampling. Tolerable error range. This is an important term. Tolerable error range. What is tolerable error range? Tolerable error range. See, generally we predict with this kind of control systems in place, what kind of errors that can come into picture. What can come into picture? Suppose what is tolerable error range? I can tell you simply. Like suppose you remember that metro station example. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Or else I'll do one more thing. Depreciation. Is it an actual value or estimated figure?
Estimated figure.
Depreciation is obviously an estimated figure. Now, can this estimated figure, will it be 100% accurate? Means obviously not. Since it is not 100% accurate, only we are calling it as estimate. Now, can this be deviated or not? Actual result, can it be deviated from estimated result or not?
Yes, sir.
Now, how much it can deviate? Can it deviate to extremely or within a particular range? how much it can deviate. See, you have to calculate an estimate of useful life. Estimate of useful life. Actually, the asset works for 10 years, but you are estimating 4 years useful life. Is it a tolerable range? Tolerable means acceptable. Is it acceptable? Is it acceptable range?
No, sir.
No. But actually, I estimated 9 years. The asset comes for 10 years. 1 year there is a deviation. Is it tolerable?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if transactions and balances and estimates, if they are within tolerable range, which means management have recorded all the transactions, all the balances and all the estimates used and everything are within tolerable range. Of course, they may go wrong, but the possibility that they may go wrong, the probability is within permitted range, within tolerable range. Okay, even if something goes wrong, it won't go beyond that. Do you understand? So that is called tolerable range. Have you understood, Supriya?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we need to check how far it can deviate, how far controls function effectively. So we need to check that. If at all the possibility of deviation is too high, then our sample size will also increase. If at all, I mean, we generally don't prefer sampling. Wherever deviations are very high, extremely high, we don't prefer sampling. Suppose example, GST area is there. Company is having GST. Company is having 12 states, 12 registrations. Obviously, 2 months, two returns in a month and 12 months. So obviously, 12 are 144, 288 GST returns. You need to check. Now, why you have to check entire 288 returns? Just first look at how GST is being calculated and paid. Who are dealing with GST? If at all the person dealing with GST is highly competent, everything is on track completely. Everything is within tolerable limit. The person is taking care of due dates. The person is taking care of percentage of taxes. Everything is within tolerable. There is no scope for error. Then you may think, okay, in GST I need not check 100%. Instead of that, I can just go for sample. Suppose the company employed a person who doesn't have any sort of skills about GST, who doesn't have any knowledge about GST, who is not at all competent, and that person is dealing with GST. Now tell me, will you tolerate such kind of incidents?
No, sir.
If you don't tolerate, what will happen? There you may decide sampling may not be correct. There you may decide, okay, I have to verify 100% GST. Do you understand? See, whether you verify 100% or 80%, that's a later, secondary issue.
Professional judgment.
First you need to whether to go for sampling or not. Okay, here controls are good. Everything is processed properly. Everything are within the toleration limit. There is a concept called risk tolerance. Have you heard of it? There is a concept called risk appetite. Risk appetite, risk tolerance, risk acceptance. Risk acceptance. There are 3 terms. What is risk appetite? Appetite means my attitude. Simply speaking, my attitude. I have to simply tell risk appetite. I am a kind of risk appetite. I am a kind of person having high risk appetite. Risk tolerance means I am a kind of person I can tolerate up to 55 risk. I can tolerate up to 10% variation. That is tolerance. Suppose already risk is happening, 9% is already mistakes were there. But my tolerance is within 10%, right? So I will accept up to 9%. Suppose if the risk is more than 10%, 12% risk has been found out. Okay, only 2%, okay, fine, let me accept. Since it is only 2% beyond my estimation, okay, I'll accept. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
So that is risk tolerance. Tolerance means if something is happening within the limit that I can tolerate, then I will go for that approach. If I cannot tolerate, I will not go with that approach. I will have to follow some other approach. Now here we are asking what? Can you go for sampling? Yes, I can go for sampling if it is within the tolerable error range. Tolerable error range. What if it crosses tolerable error range? Maybe I may not go for sampling. I may verify 100% data. If at all verifying 100% data is mandatory and I don't have time, I will resign from the company. Able to understand?
Yes, sir.
First of all, tell me, is there any mandatory rule that you have to go for sampling?
No, sir.
Is it mandatory? Auditor can do audit. Auditor must do only audit on a sample basis. He should not verify 100%. Is there any rule?
No, sir.
Which method to be followed? Which method not to be followed? Statistical to be followed or non-statistical to be followed? Is there any rule?
No, sir.
So it's completely, sampling is a concept completely has adopted based on professional judgment of the auditor. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Sir,
So
even tolerable error range also professional judgment only, sir.
yes, of course, it is professional judgment. Suppose you are traveling on a scooty, example. Okay, you will tolerate. Suppose you are sitting behind, somebody is driving. You will tolerate up to 40 kilometers.
Yes.
Are you getting the point? 40
Okay.
kilometers, you will tolerate the speed. That is a tolerable range. If at all a person is exceeding 40, you may not travel with him or with her. Able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Same here, tolerable error range. If the risk is within tolerable error range, suppose example, that's what depreciation example I said. Suppose management chosen 10 years. Actual life is only 8 years it came. When I went for a review with an engineer certified only 8 years. Whereas management has already chosen 10 years. Now like this, there are so many assets which management has chosen 10 years, 8 years, 7 years, 12 years. But when engineer verified 3 assets, in all the 3 assets, what management has chosen, what the engineer has given, the report, that there is a deviation. That deviation is within permitted range. That deviation is within permitted. Okay, 1 or 2 years, okay, chalta hai. Correct, no? 1 or 2 years asset useful life will vary. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Suppose
sir.
if you ask me, sir, what is the useful life of air conditioner? I may tell 3 years. For somebody it is 5 years. For somebody it is 7 years. For somebody it is 10 years. But for my organization, it will come for 5 years. Whereas engineers said 4 years. Okay, 1 year it's okay. 20% variation is acceptable. Depreciation. So we need to see whether it is within tolerable range or not. If it is not within tolerable range, then I need to worry. You will understand?
Yes, sir.
So now let us read this. Let us read. Please read, including the question.
What are the factors should be considered for deciding upon the extent of checking on a sampling plan? The extent of checking to be undertaken is a matter of professional judgment of the auditor. There is nothing statutorily stated anywhere which specifies what work is to be done, how it is to be done, and to what extent. Further, it is not mandatory for auditor to adopt sampling techniques, and his duty is only to express opinion. When the auditor decided to express opinion based on part checking, then he shall adopt standard and technique that are widely accepted.
So what does it extent of unchecking to be undertaken? It's first of all your common sense, professional judgment. Nothing has been statutorily stated. Nowhere in any law says what work is to be done, how much is to be done, to what extent I should select, how many samples I should verify, how should I verify, should I inquire, should I inspect, should I get an external confirmation? Is there any law for that?
No, sir.
Further, it is not mandatory for the auditor to adopt sampling technique. Why? His duty is to give opinion, not to go for sampling. But in order to give opinion, we need to verify transactions. Transactions are huge, which I can't verify. So we are going for sampling. Sampling, we are going by chance, not even by choice. We don't have choice also here. We have to go for that. Are you getting it? You have to go for that. You don't even have choice. Should I verify sample? Should I verify population? No, choice also not possible. Now, when auditor decided to express opinion based on part checking or test checking or sampling, whatever, then if at all you're going for sampling, then do one thing. At least adopt standards, techniques which are widely accepted. Don't follow your own method of sampling. Have some scientific methods or their statistical methods or their stratified methods or their follow. See whether to go for sampling or not, your wish. But if you go for sampling, follow highest standards. Since fifth point is not required, sixth point directly. So the following are the factors which auditors should consider when deciding upon extent of checking on a sampling plan. You remember any 4 factors? Do you understand now?
Yes, sir.
Please read that.
The following are the factors that the auditor should consider for deciding upon the extent of checking on a sampling plan. Size of the organization under audit, level of effectiveness of internal controls, adequacy and reliability of books and records, tolerable error range, degree of the desired confidence required for auditor.
Obviously, if the auditor need more confidence, obviously we generally increase our sample size. If I need more confidence, I will have to verify population. Are you getting the point? Actually, this question and sample size will go side by side mostly. Same factors will be there also. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, sixth concept. Already I told you, sixth concept is regarding what factors will influence in order to select an appropriate sample size. Sample size must be how much, Supriya? Yesterday, have you attended sampling class?
Only half I attended, sir.
But I posted video. Have you watched it?
Yeah, no, sir.
I told yesterday, sir, how much should be the sample size? If at all you ask me, sample size should be that much, where you get the 100, where you get reasonable confidence, where you will get reasonable assurance. Yes or no? Wherever, yeah, sufficient. You must take sufficient sample. Suppose I told you yesterday one logic with Chakri. Okay, suppose there are 10,000 vouchers. 10,000 vouchers which are available. 10,000 vouchers are available. Okay, Supriya, you verified 2 vouchers.
Yes, sir.
2 vouchers are correct. Tell me, will you be convinced with remaining 9,998 vouchers?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. You won't convince right now. Why you don't convince? Tell me.
Because these two can't tell that entire 10,000 are
only
correct.
only two you verified. Okay, you increased it to 20. 20 vouchers you selected out of 10,000. Somewhere you selected randomly. Now tell me, remaining 9,980. Will you have confidence on remaining 9,980?
No, sir.
In all the 20 vouchers, everything is good. Still, will you get full confidence on 9,980?
No, sir.
But tell me, comparatively, when you verify 2, when you verify 20, will your confidence increases?
To the extent, sir, only some.
To some extent, confidence increases?
Yes, sir.
You increased it to 120. Now?
Compared to 20, confidence will increase to the extent, sir. But we won't get entire.
Of course, you don't get absolute assurance. But with 120 vouchers, can you reasonably tell remaining 9,980, 880 were correct?
No, sir.
You can't tell us, sir, how many you will verify?
It's a professional judgment, sir.
That's what you tell me. How many you will verify?
200.
You verified some 120. You selected one. You selected 194. Why? You selected some 209. You selected some 1,098 number. You selected some 9,900. So everywhere, out of altogether 120 samples you selected. Everything is right. Still, will you get confidence or you will get a doubt?
Sir, until I get confident, I'll select this, sir.
Exactly. Now tell me, don't you get confidence by verifying 120 vouchers?
Sir, it depends on nature and size of the entity and all.
Excellent. Those points only were there here. Those points were only there. Size and characteristics of the population. How much sample size I take? It depends upon the size and characteristics of population. It depends upon degree of assurance you require. The more assurance you need, the number of samples you have to keep on increasing. And what is your idea about the risk? If you feel there is higher risk, you generally select higher sample. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you got a information from somebody, sir. Sales, they manipulate like anything. You be careful, they said. Obviously, will you verify carefully more number of sales or not?
Yes, sir.
That's it. And now, next. Fourth point, third point. These are the tricky points which generally don't understand, nobody. Okay. Now, what is it? Tolerable rate of deviation, tolerable misstatement. Expected rate of deviation, expected misstatement. I'll tell you one MCQ. Before I explain, I'll give you one MCQ. Which of the following is not a factor for deciding, which of the following is not a factor for deciding sample size in case of test of controls Test of controls, not test of details. Okay. This is
Yes,
the question. Option A. Option A. Which of the following is not a factor? Not a factor. Means there will be 4 points. 3 are factors. 1 will not be a factor. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Projected rate of deviation. Option A. Option B. Tolerable rate of deviation. Option C. Projected misstatement. Option D. Tolerable misstatement. Okay, not that. We'll do one thing. Tolerable rate of deviation. I mean, expected rate of deviation. Expected rate of deviation. Expected rate of deviation. And another one I'll give another option. Degree of assurance required. What is your option? With meaning, I want. Don't look at the answer. So first you need to understand, if at all you have to give an answer, you need to understand what is tolerable rate of deviation, what is expected rate of deviation, what is projected rate of deviation. There are 3 terms of 2 combinations. Okay, I'll tell you. Projected rate of deviation, tolerable rate of deviation, expected rate of deviation. Okay. Next, projected misstatement, tolerable misstatement, expected misstatement. Understood?
Yes.
Now tell me, see, here I have used rate of deviation, there I have used misstatement. You know, I can use the word deviation only from controls perspective. Where I can use the word deviation? Controls. Suppose purchase voucher 10,000 is the value actually, but management has recorded 9,000. Is it a deviation or is it a misstatement?
Deviation.
No, it's a misstatement. It's actually called as misstatement. In sampling terminology, it is a misstatement. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Suppose in a metro station, the barricades have to open. Barricades have to open for 2 seconds, but they've opened for 3 seconds. What is this? Is it a misstatement? Is it a statement?
No, sir.
It is a deviation. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
That's it. So deviation word is used for test of controls. When you're verifying test of details means what? Substantive procedure, nothing but transactions and balances. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So no, transactions and balances. So transactions and balances, you generally use the word details. Are you getting it? Test of details. So this is the one. Now you look at that question. Now fine. What is each and everything? What is each and everything? What is each and everything? Now toleration means what is the maximum amount or what is the maximum deviation I can accept? What is that maximum wrong thing that I can accept? It may be control deviation or it may be misstatement. If barricade has to open for 2 seconds, but it was open for 2.5 seconds, 0.5 seconds, there is a deviation. Okay, I can tolerate it. It's not a big risk. But if the barricade opened for 2 seconds, actually, but it opened for 4 seconds, oh my God, this is not a tolerable rate of deviation. A passenger without a coin can cross the barricade if it is open for 4 seconds.
Yes, sir.
So this is a tolerable rate of deviation is the word which is used for control testing, which is used for controls. Now tell me one more thing, Supriya. I'll come to this again next way. I mean, after next discussion. Now tell me, I need to test controls, right?
Yes, sir.
And I should also test details, right? Of course, ultimately we need to test details only. This is only based on this only we give opinion.
Yes,
but
sir.
how much details I should verify is dependent upon the effectiveness of the controls.
Yes, sir.
Whether controls are working effectively, are they existing, are they effective, are they continuous throughout the year? I need to test controls.
Yes, sir.
And tell me, will I test controls 100% of the internal controls? Each and every control in the organization, is it possible? Suppose you are an auditor for Avenue Supermarts, DMart. DMart is having in India 200 stores. If at all you are appointed as an auditor, will you go to all the 200 stores and verify the controls?
No, sir.
You hardly go for 2 or 3 stores.
Yes, sir.
So controls also you verify only on sample. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Same way, transactions also you verify based on sample.
Sample. Yes, sir.
Now, how many you will verify? That is what we are learning in this question. Understood?
Yeah, okay.
Now, controls. How many controls? What should be the sample size for controls? What should be the sample size? Vouchers and all, we can tell 100 vouchers, 200 vouchers, sample. Controls, 7 controls, 8 controls. Are you getting the point? Controls
Yes,
also
sir.
we don't verify 100%. Transactions also we don't verify 100%. Everything is sample only. But how many controls you verify? If I need more assurance, I will verify more controls. Suppose if at all somebody asks you about how do you verify controls? If I need more assurance, I will verify more number of controls. If the risk is very high in a particular control, the chances of failure are very high, then I will verify more number of controls.
Yes, sir.
If the controls, if the controls are working within tolerable range, within tolerable rate of deviation, they are within tolerable limit. Now, will you verify more or less?
Less only, sir.
Less. Tolerable means, oh, they are within risk only. No, don't worry. Tolerable means risk is less. More than tolerable means risk is high. If it is within tolerable, less number of controls. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Suppose, okay, taller you keep it aside. When you are estimating about controls, you expected rate of deviation will be very high. Your expected rate of deviation of a control is very high. Now,
more numbers, sir.
Exactly. And size of the organization is big, then
more controls.
The nature of organization is very complex. Online e-commerce entity, complex business. This is not something routine business. Then
more controls, sir.
Over. Factors affecting control. Factors affecting controls over. Others also participated. Very good. Now let us see. What should be the sample size in case of test of details. Now I spoke about what test of control.
Controls. Yes.
Now I'm speaking about test of details. Instead of deviation, we use the word misstatement.
Misstatement. Yes.
Now here also, if the auditor require more assurance, then how much sample size you verify? More or less?
More, sir.
If the risk of MMS is very high, see MMS word you cannot use in test of control. In control, misstatement word will not come. Okay. Remember, yes, risk of MMS is high. Then sample size is
more.
When tolerable misstatements, when the misstatements are within tolerable, if the tolerable misstatement is there, then sample size will be
less, sir.
Suppose you expected more material misstatements, then
more.
Size of the entity is big, then
more.
Almost factors are similar. That's why actually if you see study material, this will be 2 topics. But you see the material which I gave, I merged it into 1 topic. Do you understand? All of
yes,
you?
Sir.
So I just used the word sample size. But if at all in exam they may ask sample size for test of controls is 1 question. Sample size for test of details is another question. Actually 2 questions I combined and ignored these words. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
You can simply write all these points. Whatever the question it can come, you write all these points. See, paper, whoever is valuing, no, he will only understand what is right. He will not understand what is wrong. You know that? Suppose, tell me, suppose I am valuing, let us assume economics paper. I don't know about economics. Supriya.
Yes, sir.
I don't know about economics. I got suggested answer where there are 5 points in an answer. You wrote 10 points. Out of the 10 points, you wrote 5 points are there.
Yes, sir.
Will I give right mark or wrong mark?
You'll give right mark, sir.
Obviously, remaining 5 points, I don't know that they are wrong.
Yes, sir.
Same logic in audit also. Paper valuationers are from practicing people. Getting it, who are engaged in teaching or prohibited for valuation. Even if I apply for auditing paper valuation, I may not get auditing valuation. I'll get some other subject. In some other subject which I'm not expert at, I only figure out what is right answer. What is wrong, I can't figure out.
Yes, sir.
So that advantage we have. So that's why we should be smart when you are preparing. So I combined these two questions. Okay. So the auditor shall determine sample that is sufficient to reduce sampling risk. Sample size should be that much. Sampling risk should come low. What is meant by sampling risk? Your sample and population should be same characteristics.
Yes, sir.
Suppose you feel sample is right, based on that population also you thought it is right, but population is completely wrong, then sampling risk is high.
Yes,
So
sir.
make sure, see, 2 vouchers if I verify, on 10,000 I cannot give opinion. Why? How can I give guarantee based on 2 vouchers?
Yes,
So
sir.
I verified 120 vouchers. Yes, I can give to some extent guarantee. Why? Because I verified sufficient number.
Yes, sir.
So sampling risk should be up to an acceptable level. Until auditor get that confidence, he has to verify. So what are the factors? Degree of assurance auditor required. Higher the sample size, higher the degree of assurance. Auditor's risk about MMS. This word can be used for details related. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
Risk of MMS increases, sample size increases. Tolerable rate of deviation and tolerable misstatement. Rate of deviation, what is used for?
Controls, sir.
Controls. And this is used for details.
Details.
Suppose if the question is about only details, then only this point you'll write, this point you'll ignore.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it? Expected rate of deviation, expected misstatement, and size and characteristics of the population.
Yes, sir.
Tolerance means risk acceptance. If you are ready to accept higher risk, no, you don't work more. You will reduce the sample size.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you understand regarding tolerable rate of deviation, expected rate of deviation, tolerable misstatement, expected misstatement?
Yes, sir.
Now there is another term, another 2 terms which we need to understand. Projected misstatement and projected rate of
deviation.
2 more terms which are pending. Projected rate of deviation, projected rate of deviation, and projected misstatement. Projected misstatement. Now what is projection, you know? Tell me, what is the purpose of sample?
To express opinion, sir.
Sorry, to?
Express the opinion on entire population.
Exactly. What is the purpose of sample is to give opinion on entire population. Now tell me, you are giving an opinion on entire population. What is projection? Tell me, what is projection? Something which is small, but what it projects is bigger. That's why we call projector.
Okay, sir.
So projector means something that projects. What is purpose of sample? To have a projection on population, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now projected rate of deviation means, tell me, I can project a deviation only after verifying the control or before verifying the control? Before testing or after testing?
After testing.
After testing 1 or 2 controls or sample of controls?
After testing 1 or 2 controls.
1 or 2 or sample, entire sample?
Sir, after testing, we can know about the controls.
That's what I'm asking. After testing of entire sample controls or 1 or 2 of the sample controls?
1 or 2 only, sir.
No, entire sample. Suppose I selected 10 sample controls. I need to verify all the 10 in order to project opinion on 100 controls population.
Yes, sir.
Same way, I will verify 100 purchase transactions sample. Based on this, I will project what is the mistake in the population.
Entire population. Yes, sir.
Able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me. Sample, no, controls I verified. I did test of controls. Test of controls is verified. In sample, I understood control is deviated by 10%. I understood control is deviated by 10%. Okay. Yes, sir. I'll tell you. Metro train. Okay. The barricade at coin dropping place. The barricade has to open for 2 seconds. But the barricade has opened for 2.25 seconds. What is the deviation? 10% late.
Yes, sir.
Now, throughout the year, how much percentage late? 365 days into 10 is equal to 3,650 percentage late. Correct? No?
Yes, sir.
Correct? 3,650 percentage. Percentage means maximum 100 only. No?
Yes, sir.
How much throughout the year? Throughout the year also 10% only, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Correct? No, logically think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Today I slept 1 hour extra. Percentage. Today I slept 10% more time.
Yes.
Throughout the year also I slept 3,650% more time or 10% more time.
10% only, sir.
Percentage always is same, no?
Yes, sir.
The control has deviated by 10%. Second
Yes.
passenger, will it deviate by 20%?
No, sir. Same
10%
10%.
only. Entire population control has been deviated for 10%. So understand, in control, sample deviation rate is equal to population deviation rate. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So projection is not required. You need not project it. Projected rate of deviation word itself you don't use. You know that? I actually added the word with a view to make you understand that word is not correct.
Okay, sir.
Projected rate of deviation word itself is not there. Of course, even if you use it also, nothing wrong. What is projected deviation rate in case of test of control? Projected rate of deviation. What is projected rate of deviation? Sample rate of deviation itself is projected rate of deviation. Sir, a particular voucher has been not signed. A voucher is not signed by manager regularly. Throughout the year also is it not signed? Yes, sir. That's what. That control itself is not there.
Yes, sir.
You clear?
Yeah. Sir,
So,
projected itself means sample, no, sir?
No. See. I'll tell you. There are 10,000 vouchers. Example. I am verifying 10,000 vouchers of some small expenditure related transaction. I took 100 samples. 100 samples. 100 samples I verified, but one protocol they did not follow. One protocol, nothing but one control they did not follow in entire 100 samples.
Yes, sir.
When I inquire accountant, sir, sorry, sir, we don't have that control. We don't have that control. Now tell me, the control has been deviated, right?
Yes, sir.
Now remaining 9,900 also same control is missing, right?
Yes, sir.
So whatever control weakness is there in sample, same weakness will be there in
Population.
So whatever sample deviation rate is equal to population deviation rate. So projection deviation rate will be same like sample deviation rate.
Yes, sir.
Suppose sir, in 100, what is the deviation? You know. Remaining 9,900, what is the deviation? Do you know?
No, sir.
But here deviation we are talking about, same deviation will be there.
Same deviation, yes, sir.
Even if you project, see, we can project based on sample, we can project population.
Yes, sir.
In a sample, control is weak. I am projecting now population. In the population also control is weak.
Yes, sir.
Because that control itself is missing. So, sample rate of deviation, projected rate of deviation are one and same in case of controls. Because you are expressing it as a percentage, not number.
Yes, sir.
Percentage is always same.
Same.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now coming to projection of misstatements. Suppose in 100 vouchers, I found 10,000 rupees mistake.
Yes, sir.
In 10,000 vouchers also, can I say 10,000 rupees only the mistake?
No, sir.
Because this is about absolute terms, amount. We are not talking about percentage. We are talking about amounts. Now suppose out of 10,000 vouchers, you selected 100 vouchers. Within this 100 vouchers, two vouchers are containing material mistakes. Mistakes meant were containing. Yes, or no?
Yes, sir.
How much value within this 100 voucher you found is 25,500 rupees mistake you found. How much found? 25,500. Actually, this 100 vouchers total value is 25 lakh. What is the total value? 25 lakh worth of purchases. You found 25,500 rupees mistake.
Yes, sir.
Don't apply percentage directly. Can I confidently say, okay, in 100 vouchers, 2 vouchers are mistaken. So in 10,000 vouchers, 200 vouchers will have mistake. Can I confidently tell that?
No, sir.
Yeah. Now, the mistake which you identified, no, you need to ascertain, you need to understand what is the nature of that mistake. Correct?
Yes, sir.
What is the nature of that mistake? SA 530 says mistakes are two kinds. anomaly, non-anomaly. Anomaly and non-anomaly. Have you heard of these terms previously?
No, sir.
Anomaly and non-anomaly. What is anomaly? Anomaly refers to a deviation. It refers to a deviation or misstatement. It is a deviation or misstatement. See, it may be related to control, deviation, or it may be related to a transaction related mistake.
Yes, sir.
That is, I'm not asking I dot E. That is not that is, okay? Normal
Yes,
that is means I'm extending the definition. That is demonstrably non-representative of population. Non-representative of population. Demonstrably non-representative of population. Now, what is an anomaly? Suppose I'm verifying one metro station. I verified one metro station. One barricade, instead of opening for 2 seconds, 2.25 seconds it opened. See, generally I don't decide, okay, entire metro station is working wrong. First I'll talk to management before I conclude.
Yes, sir.
I'll call the manager immediately, that station manager. Sir, sorry, sir. This barricade is actually inside, there is a bolt. That mechanism is slowly working. Because of that, there is a 0.14 second delay in closing. We already raised a complaint at the head office. They're coming. If you want to check the next barricade, that exactly opened within 2 seconds. That exactly closed. That barricade also you check another. That's also 2 seconds. Okay, only the barricade which I selected is having trouble. Now, based on the, can I say entire metro station is having 10% deviation?
No, sir.
Is it representing the population?
No, sir.
This is an anomaly. This is an anomaly. Now tell me, can you use anomaly, which is unusual, which is exceptional, will you use it for projecting?
No, sir.
Exactly. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir.
So you don't use it for projection. Why? Because that won't repeat. That is an incident specific to that. That won't repeat. So that is called as anomaly. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is non-anomaly? So can I say anomaly? Can I use in a layman language? Non-repetitive.
Yes, sir.
Can I use the word called non-repetitive? So I can find a problem in control. Correct?
Yes, sir.
I can find a problem in control. That problem may not be there in population. That problem is there only in the control which I verified.
Yes, sir.
So which means it is not repetitive in other controls. It is only there here.
Yes,
so that is not correct for me to project population. So I will exclude that from projection. Same way mistake also. Accountant, while typing a voucher, instead of typing 10,000, he typed 1,000 rupees.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it repetitive mistake?
No, sir.
No. So this I cannot project. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Suppose company once in a month they purchase 5 small missions which are of actually 6,000 rupees, but actually they are less than material amount. So they have to be actually charged to revenue expenditure account. But accountant misinterpreted the concept, and every time when a company purchases this, he is capitalizing. But in my sample, like this transactions, only two transactions came in my sample. And I found a revenue expenditure is charged to capital account, capital expenditure.
Yes, sir.
I called accountant and asked him. Accountant said, correct only, no, it's a capital only, no. He said, now tell me, will he do mistake only at 1 or 2 transactions or every transaction he do?
Every transaction, sir.
Exactly. Now, is this anomaly? The mistake which I discovered? No, it will repeat. Because accountant himself is wrong at principal application.
Yes, sir.
So it is not just 1 or 2 transactions. Every transaction of 6,000 rupees worth of mission purchase, a small mission is purchased, he will always capitalize. Now, can I project mistake? How much is the total mistake?
No, sir.
Can't I project?
I can project, sir.
No, that's what. See, suppose these kind of transactions are totally 100. I selected sample of 100. These kind of transactions 100 are there. Now, out of these 2 samples were there in my total 100 sample size.
Yes, sir.
So for 2 transactions, the mistake is 12,000 rupees because that is not actually capital, that is only revenue. Now remaining 98 transactions also mistakes will be done exactly.
Yes, sir.
So I can project. So when I am projecting, projecting material misstatement based on sample, which mistake I should exclude from projection?
Anomaly.
Exactly. Anomalous. We in fact call it as anomalous misstatement. Anomaly. An item which is constituted as anomaly shall be excluded.
Yes, sir.
And Srivan is asking, sir, generally while performing audit, auditor will observe the time also. That is for how many seconds the barricade is open. See, that depends upon which area you are looking at. Operational auditors will look at that. Since I am explaining about controls, I took control related example. Generally, whenever they give me L&T metro station financial audit, I may not go and check barricades how many seconds it is open because that's out of my purview. I need to check ticket collection controls. I need to check revenue leakage controls. If barricade is directly influencing it, I may need to check. Understood, Srivan? Fine. Have you understood, Supriya?
Yes, sir.
So that is regarding projection. So we completed another question also along with this. Now tell me this question MCQ which I asked. Oh, yeah. So now you tell me this. Which of the following is not considered? Which of the following is not considered as a factor while verifying sample size, while deciding sample size and test of controls? Tolerable rate of deviation I will consider.
Yes, sir.
Expected rate of deviation I will consider.
Yes, sir.
Degree of assurance required I will consider.
Yes, sir.
Because if these three, based on that, I will decide sample size. After deciding sample size, after verifying the sample, now I will go for projection. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Projection is the end step, not a factor for sample size selection.
Yes, sir.
We are selecting sample, we are deciding sample size, we are verifying sample. That entirely we are doing for what purpose? Projection purpose. That is the ultimate purpose. How come your end result is a factor for this?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
That's it. So projected rate of deviation is wrong answer. So they'll ask you in this way, twisting. Which of the following is not a factor? Which of the following is not a factor for deciding sample size in case of test of details? Expected misstatement, projected misstatement, tolerable misstatement, risk of material misstatement. This is a question. Think of a student who do not understand any of this stuff. Which option?
Projected misstatement.
Exactly. Projected misstatement is the end result. I am doing sample. I am selecting sample size. I am verifying them. And now I am analyzing anomalous, non-anomalous, everything I am doing in order to project what is there in the population in order to form and give opinion.
Yes, sir.
Projection is the end objective, not a factor for selecting the sample size. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You know, a tolerable misstatement is called as performance materiality. I will explain when I'm explaining materiality concept in audit strategy chapter. Okay?
Yes, sir.
That's it. So somebody is asking another doubt. Yeah, of course, B. Everyone said correct answer. Next. So that's the answer about question number 6. Are you confident?
Yes, sir.
So almost every question is completed. Okay, 11th one and 12th one we need to discuss. 12th one and 13th one. 11, 12, 13. These 3 questions are pending, right?
Okay.
So 13th one, write about projection of mistakes based on sampling. Projection of misstatement. You see, projected rate of deviation concept is not there. Why? When I verify controls, whatever the sample rate of deviation is there, same deviation will be the projected rate.
Yes, sir.
So that's why explicit projection do not require. So
yes,
now the auditor is required to project a misstatements for population to obtain a broad view of scale of misstatement. To obtain a broad view of scale of misstatement. When a misstatement has been established as anomaly, anomaly means non-repetitive.
Non-repetitive.
When a mistake is non-repetitive in nature, only there it happened. It
should
should
be
be
excluded.
excluded when projecting misstatement. See, this will be twisted as a true or false question. When a misstatement is considered as anomaly, it shall be included while projecting. False. It shall be excluded because anomaly refers to a mistake which is non-representative of population, therefore shall be excluded from projection. In case of test of details, means actual transactions and balances verification, the auditor shall project. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
Whatever is found based on sample, you have to project it to population. Whereas in
Yes,
case of test of controls, explicit projection is not required. No explicit projection of deviation is necessary because sample deviation rate itself is projected deviation for whole population.
Yes, sir.
So now note point, what is anomaly? Anomaly refers to, it may be a mistake or it may be a deviation in control that is demonstrably, you can even you can show it. What you can show it? Hey, that is non-representative of population. That will be there only here. That will not be there in the population.
Non-repetitive. Yes, sir.
Non-repetitive, and hence it is not considered while calculating the projected
misstatements.
Understood the sentences, everyone? Concept.
Yes, sir.
All that with examples. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now we need to understand what is sampling risk. Many a times we said, first of all, our objective of entire essay 530 is what? Entire 530 objective itself is, see, you are doing audit based on sample. Yes or no? This sample should be right sample. Only then your projection on population, will be right.
Right. Yes, sir.
But is it 100% right? Is it absolute? I'm asking, will sample give you an absolute assurance on population?
No, sir.
You did carefully, work everything. But based on sample, can you confidently 100% say population is also this?
No, sir.
No. So why you can't say that? Because there is always a sampling risk which is involved. There is always a sampling risk which is involved. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll just take 5 minutes break and get back. Okay, we'll continue sampling risk. All of you just relax for a few minutes. Relax for a few minutes. Yeah. So now. So I think now we need to discuss about sampling risk, right? Supriya, are you there? Fine. I've unmuted Ma. Just try to come online. So we are discussing about sampling risk. The entire objective of this essay 530 is to reduce the sampling risk. Now, what do you mean by sampling risk? Are you there, Supriya?
Yes, sir.
So what is meant by sampling risk? If you see the definition, sampling risk means it is a risk that the sample is not representative of population.
Entire population.
A sample which is not representative of population, we call it as sampling risk. So what is that? In fact, another definition, what it says is, simple words, what it says is, the auditor's judgment based on sample verification will be different if entire population is subjected to verification. If at all I verify entire sample, I get a decision 2. If I verify sample, I get a decision 1. I'm not getting same decision. If I verify sample, I'm getting positive opinion. If at all I verify population, I'll get a negative opinion. In such a case, there is a sampling risk.
Yes, sir.
There is a sampling risk in such case. So what does it mean? I verified sample, I am feeling positive about the financial statement. But if at all, I don't know what is reality, but if at all I verify entire population, I will get a negative opinion. Now this is called sampling risk.
Yes, sir.
Why this sampling risk arises? Because of the sampling risk, what are the consequences? So sample, no, that's why. That is the reason why we always say samples can only provide Reasonable assurance is about
assurance.
the opinion on population. They don't provide absolute assurance.
Absolute
Why
assurance.
absolute assurance is not there? Because of sampling risk. What are the consequences of sampling risk? See, when I am verifying controls, I am verifying controls only based on sample. Even when I am verifying actual transactions and balances details, there also I am verifying based on sample. Okay, because of this sample, what happens? You may either over rely the control, you may either over rely the control, or you may either under rely the control. Risk of over reliance, risk of under reliance. In a metro station, I verified barricade 1, barricade 9. These two barricades are working for 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Actually, remaining 7 barricades are working wrong. But the sample which I selected, they are working correctly. I thought every other barricade is also correctly working. I am relying over. Now, what will happen because of over reliance, over trust? What will happen? It leads to audit risk. I will give wrong opinion. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I will give wrong opinion, or I will come to wrong conclusion. What is risk of under reliance? Out of 9 barricades, I selected 3 samples. One I got deviation. Because I got 1 out of 3 as a deviation, in 9 I thought 6 will be the deviation. 6 barricades will not be working. Probably. I thought like that. I thought barricades are not working properly. Here I am not even relying the barricade. So I am not relying on the control at all.
Yes, sir.
Because of non-reliance on control, unnecessarily your work burden will increase. No?
Yes, sir.
You will verify too many transactions and details. Your work burden will increase. Of course, because of this, there is no effect on audit risk.
Yes, sir.
The effect on audit risk is not there. You may give proper opinion because you found a negative result, so you will also give negative opinion, no risk. But here you found everything positive, you give positive, but actually negative is in case of transactions and balances. You verify sample transactions and sample balance, no?
Yes,
based
sir.
on the sample, you may incorrectly accept entire population as correct. Based on sample, you may be incorrectly accepting entire population as correct. This is called risk of incorrect acceptance. See, if you look at this material, no, these words are not there. I have given the words, simple words. The sentence, they are given sentences. I have converted into a word, 2 or 3 words. Risk of incorrect acceptance. Auditor verified sample purchase transactions. Based on that, he is accepting entire purchases are correct, which is not correct. That acceptance is incorrect. This again increases audit risk. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Risk of incorrect rejection. Incorrect rejection. You are rejecting the entire population saying they are wrong and you are giving negative opinion. But actually, what you rejected, no, that rejection is not correct. Means actually you should not reject. The population is actually correct, but you are rejecting it based on sample. But here, there is no risk, right? You have a proof. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You gave a negative opinion. So giving negative opinion is not a risk for the audit. Not a risk, not an audit risk. It's an auditor risk. Okay, auditor
Yes,
type threats. Okay, that's different. So that is risk of incorrect rejection. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
These are the consequences of sampling risk. But we don't know, actually speaking, we don't know, am I over-relying a control or am I under-relying a control? Am I incorrectly accepting or am I incorrectly rejecting? I don't know. But remember, this is possible. You keep in mind, your sample will not be absolutely correct. Keep in mind that. If you keep this fact in mind and do the audit, you will do much more carefully. You can at least reduce the sampling risk. If you know that there is a risk, you can reduce it.
Yes, sir.
That's what the question objective. Sir, how can I eliminate? You can't eliminate. This risk is obviously will be there. You can't eliminate the risk. You can minimize it if you know it. Yeah. Now read. Yeah, read this. Write a short note on sampling risk.
Write a short note on sampling risk. The risk that the auditor's conclusion based on a sample may be different from the conclusion if the entire population were subjected to the same audit procedure. In other words, the risk of selecting an inappropriate sample is also known as sampling risk. The following are the consequences or erroneous conclusions due to sampling risk.
So what is sampling risk? The risk that auditor's conclusion based on sample, whatever you conclude, that is different. If at all you conclude if entire population was subjected to same audit, if at all you verify entire population under audit, what conclusion that you get, but what conclusion that you got based on sample is different.
Yes.
In other words, risk of selecting an inappropriate sample. Your sample is not correct. What is meant by sample is not correct? Sample is not reflecting population, or sample is reflecting population.
Sample is not reflecting population.
Exactly. Non-representative sample. What is it called as? Non-representative sample. Yesterday we took an example, data analytics example. I took Excel sheet. In first example, simple random sampling, I selected certain sample vouchers 20. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That is only 7% value, 8% value only it came. In that, high value transactions were not there, low value were not there.
Yes, sir.
Later I applied data analytics. Later I applied stratified technique. Now I selected sample of high value, low value, middle value. Every class is covered, which is more representative, second category. So if your sample is not representing population, what you have selected sample, what is there in, I mean, in characteristics, 25 characteristics are there in population, but in the sample you selected 2 characteristics only there. How it is representing? Suppose population 25 characters are there, you selected 8 samples which have 18 characteristics. Most representative. So the following are the consequences or erroneous conclusions, wrong conclusions that you take because of sampling risk. In case of test of controls, risk of over-reliance. What is that? Treating
that the controls are more effective than they actually are.
Actually, they're not effective, but you are treating it as more effective. Because of this, what happened? No, this is the control which I'm primarily concerned with. This is the risk which I'm primarily concerned with. This risk should not be there. So no, because it affects the audit effectiveness and more likely lead to wrong opinion. What is risk of under-reliance? Treating the controls are less effective than they're very effective actually, but I'm thinking it is less effective. This type of conclusions affects the audit efficiency. Audit process it will affect. Effectiveness will be there, but efficiency will affect. Unnecessarily lead to additional. But you see, the words are so cleverly used: effectiveness and efficiency. Okay.
Yes.
Test of details. Treating that material misstatement does not exist. You are thinking no mistakes. Based on sample, you thought population is completely correct. When in fact material mistakes exist.
Yes, sir.
This leads to wrong opinion audit risk. Risk of incorrect rejection. Treating that a material misstatement exists. You are thinking there are so many mistakes, but actually there are no mistakes. Only in the sample you select there are mistakes. Population is actually correct. This may not affect audit risk. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
This was asked in May 19 examination for 4 marks. Are you confident?
Yes, sir. Sir, risk of incorrect that will affect the process. It will affect, sir.
Sorry?
Incorrectness. It will affect the process, sir.
What is risk? Which risk? Exactly, you tell me. Full sentence you tell me. Risk of what?
Risk of incorrect misstatement.
Incorrect acceptance. Misstatement.
Yes, sir. Incorrect acceptance.
You are incorrectly accepting entire population. You are incorrectly accepting entire population as correct. Based on sample, you are accepting population. Accepting population based on sample means what? Whatever is there in sample, you are thinking same thing is there in population. That kind of analysis is wrong, incorrect. Because of that, what will happen? You give wrong opinion on population based on sample.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Sentence. You are getting the point.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Next, question number 12 is regarding what is non-sampling risk. Other than sampling risk, what is non-sampling risk? Suppose you have not verified properly. Sample is correct. You did not verify properly. Is it sampling risk or non-sampling risk?
Non-sampling risk.
Can you measure non-sampling risk mathematically, projection and all? Is it possible?
Yes.
No. Non-sampling risk, if it is there, can you estimate the values?
No, sir.
That's it. So non-sampling risk is the risk that auditor reaches an erroneous conclusion for any reason other than sampling risk.
Sampling risk.
Getting it?